special meeting. We'll go ahead and call a special meeting for the Central Healthcare District Board to order. Roll call. Shelley is here, Sherry is here, I am here, Rich is here, but participate, not vote. We don't have it agendized properly for that. Glad you could join us, Rich.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and use for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the one nation. Justice. So that moves us to item number 2, additions or modifications to or deletions from the agenda. I have none, board members. Okay, with that, I'll accept the motion to approve the agenda.
A motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Shelley. Do I have a second? Thank you, Sherry. All in favor? Shelley?
Aye.
Sherry? Aye. And I'll vote aye. So that moves us into our public comment period. We didn't have any submitted in advance. Do we have any public comments? No. Right, Shirley?
What is it? What does the blood bank charge us for blood? I don't know the answer. And the person that would know that answer could possibly know the answer is not here today, which was our chief nurse. Boy, you got me. You're giving me too much credit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too. There is a shortage. There's a huge shortage. So I've been getting calls like crazy, but I don't know what they charge us for blood, honestly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We could certainly get back to you about what it costs us to, yeah.
Was that just your, you had one question, Shirley?
Yes, it's a private.
Thank you, yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to item number 5, approval of the October 31st regular board meeting minutes. Board members, you have a chance to review edits. Move approval. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, Shelley?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. That brings us to item number 6, resolution number 450. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Central Healthcare District authorizing execution and delivery by the district of a revolving loan and pledge agreement by and between the district and Western Alliance Bank with an initial maximum credit amount of $1,500,000 and certain other documents and mentions. And then over to you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And before we start, Brian, can you see if one of our attorneys, Jennifer Bradley, is in? She said she's in the waiting room.
Yeah,
would you ping her and say, is she joining the Zoom?
Steve, do you want me to go reach out to her?
Yeah, she
What?
sent the email to you as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Yes. Thank you.
This one's.
I pulled the link up. This is the thing of the citizens.
Just center the agenda. You didn't.
You can't get on the Zoom link by going to the link. You have to go to the agenda.
Okay, we can let her know that. You sent her the agenda.
I covered that,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know why it doesn't work as it used to, but it doesn't. So we need to figure out how to fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look at that with Deborah. The Zoom link on the agenda? That could be some of that one's, that one would work. but not the old link. I'm not sure. I'll have to look and see. I didn't think we changed the link, so I don't know.
The first special meeting, she puts out a different link.
Oh, does she?
Well, I sent the board information, Deborah's invite to the lenders. I said, you don't have to be here, I just want you to see what I sent. And I get this email back and they said, where's the loan documents? And I look at it and the attachment was policies and procedures and I said, oh, this meeting.
Did they,
Sitting at home.
did they,
One more crisis.
did they confer with our policies and procedures? Make sure. Yeah. Okay, little glitch, little technology issue.
I think when we get to Jerry, we can go through my document. But where we really want BBK there is the actual loan agreement. Did you go through all 36 pages, Jerry?
Skim.
Yeah, okay. It's because they've reviewed it and actually it's kind of been a work in progress all day. So there's been edits that have been made, feedback. And so I think really what we want to do is we want to hear from you guys if you have any comments. Possibly it's changed, just make sure that your comments are brought to the lenders, attorneys, and in the documents, and those are addressed. The other thing is that we were informed that the USDA will have to consent to this lending. They don't really have they get it. So it's more, how long is it gonna take them to do the consent? But they said the other thing that they have to have they have to have the resolution signed and they have to have the loan agreement signed off. And that's by you, and we're not sure if it's Sean or myself or who will be signing it in addition. So those two documents need to go to USDA completed. So we do need to get through this. We have till noon tomorrow. That's when the attorney said we have to have everything to get it out and meet Friday's deadline. And that's not a super hard deadline.
Well, we figured this out. Do you want to go to 7?
Jennifer's.
Is she jumping on? Okay, there she goes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have Jennifer.
Okay,
Jennifer, we're on item number 6. We just read the topic and then Steve is about to go into the description of it. Thank you.
Jennifer, can you hear us? You're on mute.
Sorry, now I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, there you
and
go.
see ya.
Thank you.
Sorry about that technical difficulty.
Yeah.
It's always something. Okay, so Jennifer, you don't have to respond. I'll just kind of explain where we're at. So what I'll do is, the board we've discussed this quite thoroughly with the board and this is nothing new to them. So we'll give whatever discussion needs to be had. And what we really need from you, Jennifer, is to say that BBK has reviewed everything or whatever, however you want to portray it, as our legal counsel, and you provided feedback to the lenders, attorneys, the lenders, myself, and you speak for yourself. But that's kind of what we're looking for. I just mentioned to Jerry Nielsen, our board president, that it looks like in some of the correspondence, holy cow, amazing amount of correspondence. Thank you, everyone. But that the USDA needs a signed to sign off on the consent, they need a signed loan agreement and they need our executed resolution. So where we could really get some help from you, I guess, or some whatever information, I guess, is BBK's feelings on their loan agreement and any of the other stuff that you want to share. So with that huge preamble, I'll jump into it. Again, our board has, we've talked about this for a while. and this is just the result of what we've gone to do. I don't need to reiterate why we're here unless you want me to. So, and what we've been able to do is obtain a loan commitment of $1.5 million from Western Alliance Bank. We'll do it. It looks like we'll do an initial draw here as soon as we close. And then we'll just see how our cash flow works before we make any future draws. We don't have to draw the money. That'd be a great day. But we can draw up to the entire amount. When we first talked to them, we wanted a little more money because our projections put our cash pretty low, but still $1.5 million. We'll just have to work very closely with all of our vendors. That does not include employees. That does not include our contract physicians, our physicians under direct contract, our medical professionals such as Omenar Physical Therapy. Those will all be paid on their regular schedule, but some of our other contract vendors we're going to have to work with them on paying them. I already started laying things out to where what we'll try and do is we'll just try and keep giving them a payment. You know, it's not bringing your account current, but we're going to consistently give you a payment so you're getting something. I think that the bottom line is that I would say to every vendor here, I've only been here 7 years, but all these vendors we're talking to now, or I should say the majority of these vendors, they've made a lot of money off us, and we've always paid our bills. So, you know, work with us. So, and we just had our managers meeting before this, and this is probably for the managers that haven't been going to board meetings and listening to it. This is kind of the first time they're hearing the discussion about our finances and all that. But the number one thing is that this isn't a situation where, you know, our reserves are going down and there's no source of revenue or other support out there, you know, to remedy that. That's not the case. This is clearly a timing between when we make our intergovernmental transfer this week for the rate range. And then again, the rate range is going to be enhanced for between rate range and the HQAF will receive about $1.5 million net benefit above what we would have received without the enhanced intergovernmental transfer. In addition, as soon as I make that transfer, I'm going to send a note to the managed care companies and say, hey, he's made our IGT, and we respectfully like to request an advance payment. And last time we did this, it came in a month ahead of the normal payment. So I think that's something you never say no. Who knows what happens, but that is something we're going to pursue. So again, it's a timing thing, and we're just going to get through it and move on.
That was one of my questions, was different than the amount that we had discussed before, and whether you were thinking that we would be able to get advance payments, and that was why the amount was 1.5 rather than 2.
No, you know, they actually, they ran it through their credit model.
Okay.
And the one that, the days cash on hand thing, we've kind of worked it out both for this and for the interim financing. But the one that got us was our debt service coverage. And that they literally wanted to only loan to a 1.25 debt service coverage. And they were pretty strict on that. And they also shortened up the term. Originally, we were 3 years, then it went down to a year, now it's to February, March.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but that doesn't mean that when we get through this and pay it off and everything's good and our debt service coverage is improved, we just go back and
Ask them if that's my other question, would they consider keeping this open, or would you have to go through this process again to have a more permanent potential line?
we want to avoid going through this process again because the foundation is laid, but, so Jennifer, this is just off the top here, is if, right now, there's no provision for extending this or to negotiate an extension of this. There's just a term date on this. If we were to negotiate an extension of this, what would that entail? As far as, can you just do an amendment to this document, or do you have to redo a whole new loan agreement, or how's that work typically?
Yeah, we could do an amendment. The bank, their credit team may want a new agreement, but luckily we have the agreement, right? All of the terms, we've reviewed the agreement. We provided our comments today over to the bank, and they're going to get back to us either tonight or in the morning. So it won't be a huge lift if their credit team did want a brand new agreement. And then the authority, under state law for the healthcare district, 5 years is the max term that can be there. So we can't, in terms of permanent, we could do a more permanent if you wanted more of like a true revolving line that you could pay off and use and pay off and use. But the max term there would have to be 5 years. But I don't anticipate that if they allowed us to do an amendment or just start over with these documents, that it would be too big of a lift, because we've done most of it to get here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the structure, you can see a little bit of the structure of the agreement there. Again, it's $1.5 million. Our interest rate is, this is for Rich. Our interest rate is SOFR, SOFR, which is the secured overnight financing rate. I guess that's what banks borrow from each other in the darkness of night. But it's plus 2.75%, and that one there, what I wrote there was 7.5% interest. It's just bobbling around there. It's I know there's in the loan commitment is a rate of about 7.3. It's all in that neighborhood. And we looked at this, if we would have had all kinds of time and day, I don't know, maybe not, who knows? We could have gone out and shop around, but the short story is that it's about 2% higher than our rate on our certificate of participation that we got through Western Alliance Bank. And BBK's ruling was, or interpretation or opinion was, that this is a taxable transaction, whereas our certificate of participation, that was a tax exempt issuance. And so there's, I don't know, someone said there was kind of a rule of thumb that the taxable element puts 2% on top of a rate or interest rate. And so 2% on top of our interim rate was 7.25%. So we're in the ballpark.
But why is there tax involved with our district at all?
I can
So-
answer that if you.
Yeah, thank you.
So the reason why, the proceeds of this loan, of this revolving fund, are going to be used to pay working capital expenditures, which aren't eligible for tax exempt financing. So it has to be done on a taxable basis. So that's why you see that analysis coming in. It's federal tax law in terms of issuing tax exempt versus taxable bonds. And that's why you see the rate differential as well.
It's the only time I've ever seen us have tax, right?
Mhm.
On anything?
Well, we have an issue, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's
so we haven't issued any kind of debt to this point, but other than capital leases and stuff like that, so that's their opinion, and I think everyone was in agreement on that. There's no debate. Doesn't Western Alliance, they get, a little more interest, but they also have to subject it to taxation through their organization. So what we were talking about, the heavy lifting and whatnot, is that there's some closing costs, or there's cost of getting this issuance out, and there's 4 pieces. Western Alliance charged us 0.25% as like kind of a loan origination fee. And that worked out to $3,750. Their attorneys are charging $25,000 to do, and they're the ones that created the documents. BBK's job is to review them, and they wrote the resolution, and they wrote this document for me too, so. And then their fee, BBK's fee is $15,000, they're all flat fees. And then we have to report, this is public debt, and Jennifer can answer it as needed, but this is a public entity debt, so we have to report it to, look it up, California Debt and Investment Advisory Commission. And so we pay them somewhere around $2,500, that's an estimate.
CDIC.
Yeah. Mhm. So there's to get the $1.5 million, we're essentially paying $46,250. So, interest is estimated to be something, you know, if it just plays out normally, we make the draws over the next 2 months and then just, have interest running on that. It's projecting out at just about $30,000. So out the door, as they say, just under $80,000 is the cost of $1.5 million to Seneca.
And then I saw that if we leave some of those funds and we don't draw on them, there's also an interest charged on that as well,
Very small,
like 0.25% or something.
yeah, non-use fee.
Okay.
And I think the way that we're projecting out our draws, they hit in the first 2 months. There would be a very small, they're projecting like $44 non-use fee. If we draw it out longer, then, you know, then there would be a proportionally larger fee on that, so
But
that's,
then we wouldn't have the full interest on those.
that's correct. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. So what items are we talking about that are looking to be modified versus what we have in here?
Okay,
Are we looking at the agreement?
we can.
I wasn't sure if that's what the change order, but we're looking at.
Yeah, the resolution, the resolution is final unless you guys find something in there. Okay, the other document, item 6.3, Exhibit A it's referred to in the resolution as the term sheet, but it's, actually Western Alliance's commitment letter.
So not the credit agreement, but.
No, not the agreement yet, I'm sorry. But if you go to the resolution.
Is this for that one? Oh, that's exhibit A.
That's the term sheet, but your section before there, Jerry, is probably the actual resolution.
Oh, yes, yeah. No, I thought- yeah, I got
Oh, you
the
pulled it out.
here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it out.
Yeah.
So the resolution has all the language that we need, that you guys are saying, you know, we want to do this, we want to do loan this money or borrow this money. Exhibit A is the term sheet, and that's just Western Alliance, a list of the terms of the debt. Then Exhibit B technically is the actual loan thing.
Okay. And so. That's what modifications you guys are.
We're pretty happy with everything but the revolving loan and pledge agreement, just because what went to you guys yesterday afternoon was prior to getting the edits from the various parties. So
Are there major changes?
I'll let Jennifer can run through what BBK saw in there and what was changed. One of the biggest changes that was made from Seneca's perspective was just cleaning up the language that we don't receive our supplemental payment from the state. We receive it from the managed care plans. So that was our biggest concern, is that it said that some of the payments came straight from the state, whereas.
And it also said too, I think that if we do receive advance payments, half of that goes directly to them.
Yeah, because when we receive the regular supplemental payments, say in February, we get the rate range payment. We turn over dollar for dollar to Western Alliance until our obligation to them is settled. But if we receive an advance payment, say in January or whenever, that Western Alliance has agreed to let us keep half of that until we get to the end and settle the whole thing when the
That's what
remaining.
made me think maybe you were optimistic about us possibly being able to get early.
Well, I'm not gonna ask for it if Western Alliance is gonna take it all right. Yes, I am very optimistic about it. So, right, okay, let me look here real quick.
So the main changes, if I heard correctly, the main changes that were made today on this document were from BBK from our side. Am I correct in what I?
Let me just let Jen, there's been from both the Western Alliance and their legal side too, so let's just let Jennifer, if she wants to run through with
Yeah.
the changes she's aware of and what they put forward.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Of course. So yeah, so Steve was able to provide, and thank you, Steve, for letting them know kind of more of like he was talking about that process of how you receive the payments. And so the bank turned around another draft to correct some of those, the processes and the way it's described in the agreement. We've also provided them from our legal perspective and some comments, and I can walk you through some of the major ones. There's some just small cleanup comments that we provided to them too. And the way that'll work is, so Friday, it will be the closing. We should be closing on Friday, but between now and then, ourselves and Banks Counsel, their attorneys, we're going to be going through kind of our comments. So I'm assuming by tonight or tomorrow morning, just because we're on such an expedited schedule, we will hear back from Banks Counsel as to our comments. I don't think anything is terribly controversial. They may push back on a couple of small things, which is common, but I can walk you through some of the larger ticket items that we've commented on. The first one is in section 2.3, which is talking about repayment, just what you were talking about, Jerry, with how you've got the program payments and then the advance payments where you've got to give them half. If you look at section 2.3B, Roman numerat 2, I think it's on page 8. It should be. Okay, good. And, we noticed that under Roman numerat 2 and 3, it says immediately upon the receipt. It's very, we added a within 3 business days there just for, it's more practical in reality and what we normally see in terms, just so there's, no way of holding some sort of technical default if the next day you send them over, right? More of a protective stance for the district. So that's one of the kind of smaller items that we pointed out. We've got, if you turn to section 3.1D as in dog, it's on page 9, it should be that next page. They've got, under section D, they've got this kind of interest rate calculation and maybe having to pay interest at a later date. And I think that is, if I had to guess, I think that's left over from corporate, maybe a corporate financing deal. That really, I don't believe that's allowable under California law. It's really going to be considered like a bootstrapping. And so I don't anticipate them pushing back. I have a feeling they're going to realize they have a leftover from a corporate deal in a municipal document. So they will likely provide us with either just striking it or a more favorable municipal term that should belong there in terms of the maximum rate. Maximum rate that's allowable is 12%. I would anticipate them just kind of making such a statement, something like that there. Let's see.
Jennifer, I'm sorry, one quick question. The interest rate, this is a fixed rate, right? Not a variable rate? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Yeah, of course. The next change, and this is one that I do anticipate could be a little back and forth with us. If you go to page 11 under section 3.6, where it says change in laws, they're basically, what section A under 3.6 is basically saying is, I call it like an indemnification against change of laws, that if there is some sort of law that changes, the manner of the collection of the taxes or somehow impedes upon the payments to the bank, they want an increased interest rate payable thereunder. It's written almost as like when there's a tax exempt deal. If there was a change in law, you will see some documents and some agencies agree to it. But if, say, the federal tax law changes and the obligation is no longer considered tax exempt, banks will often want you to make a true up payment for them so they can restore their after-tax yield that they were anticipating. And so they've written that type of a term in here in terms of changes in law. Obviously, it doesn't relate to tax because we're doing taxable, but it's very similar. I've commented, that I don't think you guys should be indemnifying the bank against any changes in law. We'll see what they say tonight or tomorrow on that piece. It's not a deal breaker in my mind, but just something that, I'm trying to, obviously get the most favorable terms for the district. So we'll see what they say there. Again, in my mind, it's not a deal breaker. It may be in your guys' mind, but I have commented to them that I don't think you guys should be indemnifying against changes of law, only indemnifying them against, actions or inactions taken by the district, right, within your control. So I did comment on that. We'll see what they say tonight. Let's see if that was it. Let me get to the.
But Jennifer, this would be any changes in laws between now and March, right? Is what we're talking about?
Right until the changes would be for the term of the agreement between now and March. So it is very, how high is that risk between now and March, right? It's not like it's a 35-year loan that's going to be sitting out there forever, right?
But if we look at extension, we would want it to be different then.
Yeah, if we went for a 5-year term,
Yeah, if we want.
we'd want to make sure it's short up.
Thank you, Jennifer. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, of course. This is just more of a drafting thing. I'll just point it out, but section 5.3, that's on page 14, they have the district making a representation that the execution and delivery of these obligations in the agreement does not conflict with any other document. And we know it does because of your rate covenants with the USDA and with the bank from the interim financing, which is why we're having to seek the consent that we're getting. So, I don't anticipate them pushing back, but we've just provided language for them that it's qualified as to, provided that those consent requirements are obtained, right? Then there's no conflict with any of your other loans or agreements. So just a small piece. I don't anticipate them pushing back on that because they're very aware of the need for consent. I think it was more of just an oversight when they were drafting because it's a very common term to be in there.
And Jennifer, the Western Alliance, I haven't seen all of the correspondence, but they'll also be issuing us a waiver for our debt covenant on the interim financing as far as the days cash on hand for December. So I don't know if that fits in there or, it's not just the USDA, but Western Alliance themselves are giving us that.
Yeah. Sorry if I didn't make that clear. Yeah, it's the consents and waivers for both under the USDA and.
Oh, and the bank. And thank you. Okay, now I'm listening.
Yeah. So the consent requirements defined term that they use includes the banks and the USDA's consent. So, and they're they're one of the parties. They're very aware of it. So that should not be a bone of contention. Really, just more of a drafting oversight, I think, on their part. Let me see, what else did I catch? Sorry, as I just go through my document really quick to make sure I bring you guys up to speed on everything. If you turn to section 6.5, again, this is a small item, but page 17, I believe, is where 6.5 starts. They've got a requirement that once you file your annual budget for the fiscal year for next fiscal year, that they give you a copy of the budget. We've just simply pointed out the term goes to March. I think this was probably a leftover from when this was going to be at least a year. It really isn't necessary, so we've just, made that comment, is this necessary now that we're shortening this up to March? So again, I don't think it's going to be a big sticking point, just something, I think was overlooked in the drafting. And then, bear with me, let me just skipping over all of my kind of typos and non-material. We did ask, if you go to section 8.1A, it talks about events of default. The first event, I think it's on page 1920, it kind of bleeds over the pages. This section goes over all of the events of default. And the very first one is obviously, default in payment of principal and interest, a very common default. We've just asked them if there's any cure period. Sometimes they'll say no, and it's just if you don't pay on time, you don't pay on time. Sometimes they'll give you a 5 or 10 day grace period before the default kicks in. So we've asked them if they're, willing to provide any kind of a grace period. Again, I don't a deal breaker. It's a very common term to not have a grace period, but I think it's worth the ask to put it in there. So we'll see what they say. I don't think it's a controversial ask. I just don't know with their credit team. They may not. That may not be something that they're amenable to. Let's see. And then we did have it set up for Sean to sign. The resolution has Steve or Sean signing, and I think they put it in your name, Jerry. And so just to conform to the resolution, we have it. We've asked them to set it up for Sean's signature, just to conform to the resolution. And I think, and other than just kind of peppering in, there's a throughout the defaults, you'll see if you default on any covenant, I've added things like material covenant. You don't want to have these, foot faults, as I call them, become an event of default. So I did pepper through material and add the word material to those covenants, just to make sure you guys aren't put in a default position for a so-called foot fault, something very small and minor. But other than that, like I said, the terms of the agreement were, for the most part, as expected, other than those pieces that we caught that are either a deal point to negotiate or just something they overlooked in drafting.
Anything you want to add to that?
Sure.
And I will add too. Oops, sorry, Steve. I will add too. Since we're closing since we're closing on Friday, the way it'll work, and because the USDA and you will find it, a lot of the state and federal governments that you work with have their own very strict requirements, and the USDA did come back and they want the signed copy of the resolution and all of the signed documents, including the closing documents. Which usually, don't come out until closing. And so what we'll do is we will have everything signed, get the adopted copy of the resolution from you all, have Sean sign the agreement, get the closing certificate signed, and basically everything will be held in escrow. We will send them over to the USDA so they know that you guys approved it and that you're signing everything and you're on board. But everything will be held in escrow until you close on Friday. So in between now and then, if the bank comes back with something, or has a term they want to add, or something that Sean and Steve say absolutely not, that's a deal breaker, those signatures are just held in escrow. They're not committing you to anything until Friday, when we all say, yep, we're good, release the signatures, and we're closing. So I just wanted to add that so you guys have a sense of process. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Well, actually, Jennifer, so I can sign, I'm out Friday. So does Steve have the ability to sign the closing documents?
Yes, he does.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, because it has both of you guys in here as
Yeah.
or your designee.
I just want to make sure that I won't be able to physically sign, so. You got them, closing documents are yours.
Thank you for that clarification, Jennifer. Rich, are you still on? Do you have any questions or comments? Still with us?
No, Jerry, looks good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Guys have any questions? No? Okay. I think my questions are all answered. Are you surprised?
Well, we talked about it a lot,
Yeah.
We had some great,
Legal counsel.
great help and guidance and everything, and so again, just as with the new build project, it makes it easier to.
So with that, I will accept the motion to approve resolution number 450.
I move approval of resolution 450.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor, Sherry?
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. All right, so that moves us on to item number 7, new critical access hospital. Oh, thank you, Jennifer, for your time.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you, Jennifer.
New critical access hospital, skilled nursing facility flow chart, Donna?
Yes. So, what you're seeing here is, proposed, process for approval of use of the contingencies for the new critical access hospital and skilled nursing facility. So, just evaluating like how we're, reviewing things that are coming up that, you know, we have this contingency that we know will be used to some extent. And then how we go about approving that usage. So what you'll see is that it goes through, first evaluates the, whether it's a GC or a soft cost, so a hard cost or a soft cost or against the project. Determining whether we're going down the GC path or going down the, use of project contingency path. Ultimately looking at that box number 2 has where we review first within the executive team, then that determination of GC or soft costs, ultimately going down to having the strategic planning team determine the validity of the need for contingency, then coming to the board of directors for review, then to USDA, and then developing the documentation to make the change. Just FYI, this has been brought to the USDA. This same flow chart has been brought to the USDA. When we first brought it to them, we had USDA before board of directors, thinking that we needed their approval for you guys, but they asked for those two to be switched. So the thought is that we bring after the executive team reviews and the strategic planning team reviews, we bring it to the board of directors, and you guys would approve or decline. Approve, if you approve it, that goes, or it's contingent upon concurrence by USDA, and then goes to USDA there.
This was based upon the dollar amount of the change.
That's,
Yeah.
We're not there yet. You get it. Yeah, I mean, we can, wherever you want to bring it up.
Yeah, we can discuss that now. It doesn't look like we have this on as a. Were we supposed to have it as an
I don't think we needed
I
an
don't think
action
we
item.
have to either.
Yeah.
But I think for this meeting, what I would like us to think about is, you know, currently the way the project has been structured, we've been approving all changes. And we talked about planning about potentially giving Sean the authority to approve up to his signing authority that he has anyway for changes. That way, we're not stuck with, oh, fire ordinance or gravel. Yet because it's another $2,500 or something like that. So I would like us to all think about that, and maybe in our next regular meeting, we can decide whether we want to move forward with that. I think that would probably remove obstacles from the project that we don't have in place. So,
What amount can you approve up to now?
25.
yeah.
So it just keeps us from having to go into a special board meeting for approval up to 25. Anything after that obviously should get some scrutiny.
Those items would still come to the board.
Yes,
Right.
we'll still get
So you
forward.
can still
I did talk to Grant about that and have a call into Jennifer he referred me to Jennifer to have that discussion to make sure that so before the next meeting, I'll get that vetted to make sure that there's no, barricade to having that path.
Perfect, thank you. Board members, do you have any questions on any of the acronyms? Because I know the acronyms, but I don't know if everyone else knows the acronyms, because I've seen this before.
What is WAB? WAB?
That is Western Alliance Bank.
Okay.
Then we've got AOR as architect of record, CM, construction manager, GC, construction, or general contractor, sorry.
SHD is Seneca Healthcare District.
Hey, Dawn, I wonder if, because if a member of the public looked at this, they would have no idea.
Oh, sure.
We have a legend.
Legend?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Where it's
Totally.
an empty section on the bottom.
Totally.
That would be fabulous, thank you. Anything else we want to cover with this? Donna?
No, that is it.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, and we'll look to add that to our agenda for next meeting about having Sean have the authority up to 45,000.
Is this like a standard template?
No,
No,
I put that
it was
together.
really customized.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice thing is that the USDA was involved in it, so it'll get past their musters.
Yeah.
Great. So then that brings us on to item number 8. Critical access hospital, skilled nursing facility, request 001, usage or request of the SCA.
So this is putting that flow chart into action. This has, as per the flow chart, gone through all of that such that we are in, the box number 14 that, brings it to the board of directors. So all of these have been reviewed and, approved to move forward to you guys. For just kind of going through the format here, added costs is as I've stated, the add type is either lump sum or time and materials. So, lump sum would be that is the cost, and time and materials is a not to exceed amount. And then contingency type is whether it's coming from the starting point of the construction contingency, or if it's coming from the additional contingency that's not, that's kind of more bottom line within the project budget of the project contingency that's intended to cover the soft costs. And then the footnotes explain more of the reasoning behind each of these adds. Are there any questions on any one in particular that I can answer?
I don't have any, but just when we were reviewing this, that's when it came up that, you know, perhaps we should give Sean the ability to approve, so it's not really frontier conduit and such things, so.
Right.
But, the idea being that at auditing, we would have a listing of ones that we need to approve if they're above, and then we'd also have a listing of all the ones that were already approved because they were within his sign. So we still get all of it in this meeting, we just need to go through those ones.
That's fine.
You guys have any other questions or comments on this? No. I like that it's, we put this together.
Okay, good.
Very clear.
Yeah, it's very clear, yes. All right, so with that, I will accept a motion to approve the, I don't know how you want to put this, the contingency usage, there we go.
Request
Request
001.
001.
On motion to approve.
Thank you, do I have a second? Second. Thank you, all in favor, Shelley?
Aye.
Sherry? Aye. And I'll vote aye.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. That moves us on to item number 9, new critical access hospital skilled nursing facility and plan amendment 1 on concurrence with USDA.
So this is, item number 4 on that previous memo. We had with our, lovely bird that we had last year, we extended.
Still lives in my neighborhood.
Oh, really?
Really?
The baby?
Really?
One of them, I saw it, I was coming here.
I swear they're gonna come back and stay in those trees and these keep.
Throw rocks. No, we're not. Get my hand.
This is the increased cost associated with
It-
that.
it-
Yeah, I didn't-
so that's what much of their contracted amount ended up going for their assistance as we were dealing with that. And so, you know, we still have the original need for their services, for their annual, survey of the property for floristic and raptors. And so they still have to do that annually. And so we need to replenish their contract, to cover that.
I will accept a motion to approve the in-plan amendment one.
I'm sure, you're good at one.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry. Shelley.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. So that brings us to item number 10, policies and procedures. That we were not able to vote on during our last meeting because we had an error with our agenda. Do you have any questions or comments on any of these policies and procedures, board members?
Yeah, Judy already answered mine last time,
Okay.
so
All right, that's a motion to approve. Get approval. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor, Sherry? Shelley? So do we have a closed session today?
Yep.
With that, we will move into closed session. Thank you all. Okay, closed session is in session. There were no reportable actions taken during closed session. Our next regular board meeting will be, because it's Thanksgiving, on December 5th, 3 p.m. here in the conference room, and meeting adjourned.
Sworn in, we talked about that with her, yeah.
Please, you could stuff like that.
Here.
Big end on the far right.